Hey, it's Lauren at Aggressive Credit Repair, making you a video talking about different scoring models. Have you ever asked yourself this question? What's my real score? I look online and I see Credit Karma shows this score, and I go to my bank and they're saying this score. What's the real score? And is Credit Karma not a real score? It's a real score, all right. Popular question I get is, what is the real score? And the answer is, there is no real score. There's no such thing as a single universal score. There's different scoring models, competitors in the market, and the top competitor, FICO, makes 9 different scoring models. I think there's actually more than that. So let's break it down and talk about what each one is and why there's different ones, okay? All right, let's get rid of my face. First of all, there's the basics. There's Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. I think they have their own scoring model each, but it's not used in the real world. The real world lenders are using usually the FICO, one of the FICO versions, or Vantage Score, which only has one version. Let's look at each of them. Here we are in my own credit reports refreshed. And this is Identity IQ, a popular website. My favorite one because it's the simplest. They use Vantage Score, okay? So I think Vantage Score is much newer than the FICO scores. You also see this very popularly used across the internet when pulling up your scores, places like Credit Karma. Okay, Credit Karma also uses Vantage Score. They actually say it right there. A lot of times when you're looking at a score, they'll show the score, and then somewhere in there when they're showing, what the max score is, which is 850, they'll show what version of the score you're looking at, okay, and what credit bureau it was pulled from. Okay, so here Equifax 818, TransUnion 819, Equifax 818, TransUnion 819, both of them using the Vantage scoring model. Okay, Credit Karma is great. It's free. Kind of misleading in some areas, so it's not my favorite website. Identity IQ is because it shows you all three. Very elegant user interface, easy to use. And when it comes to explaining the score to my customers, it's kind of difficult explaining that FICO has 10 different scores, whereas Vantage only has one. It makes a lot more sense to just have one, kind of a universal score. But that's not the case. If you go to myfico.com, you can see, let's jump over there. You can see that they have a multitude of scoring models. Hey, thanks Danny for letting us use your score for this video presentation. You can see Danny's got some great scores. Actually, he was higher than me last month in the low 800s, but he put a small balance on his credit cards or increased his credit card utilization and his scores dropped. And when you're that high, when you're up in the 800s, that means a lot. Credit card utilization becomes a major factor. And he knows as well as I do, but just by virtue of lowering those cards, he'll get those points back. Anyways, I digress. Let's talk about the different scores. See, featured here is the FICO 8. Well, I know there's 9 different scoring models for FICO, okay? If you buy this $40 report at MyFICO, when you log in, you're shown the dashboard here, which pushes this FICO 8. I think that's kind of the one they want people to use the most. There's a new one, FICO 9, you can see right here. We'll get to that in a second, though. The reality is when you go to a lender, they're going to pick. Let's just pretend you're a lender. You sell cars, okay? You're going to have a finance department. You're going to pull credit and give financing to folks. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, you're going to ask the bureaus if you can pull credit through them, and then you're going to also have to pull a score. So you'll contact FICO, and they'll ask you, what scoring model do you want to use? And you'll say, well, I'm doing auto loans, and so they'll give you can pick which version of the FICOs you want, but they have a package specifically for that industry. They have the auto loans, okay? To make matters a little bit more, they have an auto loan scoring system. To make matters a little more complicated, sometimes they'll use a mixture of the older scoring models, 5, 4, and 2, as opposed to just one. You can see a FICO 8, the newer models are a lot more forgiving in the points, and by giving you more points versus these older scoring models. Now, let's talk about mortgages. This is kind of the world I live in, being that I do home loans. You can see that in the MyFICO website, they're showing you versions 5, 4, and 2. Why is that? Well, for some reason, I don't know why, but in all of the all mortgage companies I've ever worked for, the mortgage companies I've ever dealt with, they're always pulling a mixture of scores 5, 4, and 2 from the FICO company. I've never seen a variation anywhere else, and I've never seen another mortgage company use like a Vantage score or any other version than 5, 4, and 2. And it's an older scoring model and the most conservative, meaning the hardest to get points. So you can see that Danny has a 749 low score on his mortgages, but his FICO 8 scores are up in the high 700s. So it's just important to remember that FICO scores for the purpose of mortgages are a lot more conservative. Okay, now, just so for the record, Danny has perfect credit, not a single glitch on there. I know, trust me, I'm the one that helped him get him there. But for some reason, his mortgage scoring models are a lot less, or his mortgage points are a lot less than the traditional FICO 8 or the more commonly pushed from the FICO company FICO 8 score. Why is that? I don't know the answer to that. I think that it's just a more conservative scoring system. Well, I mean, obviously that's what it is. I don't exactly know why that is. And they may have reasons. I do know this with respect to the different versions of FICO is that there are 4 different industries. Okay, so why would a mortgage, the industry want their own scoring model versus the auto loan scoring industry? Well, real simple. Mortgage industry wants to look closer at previous mortgage scores. Okay, previous mortgage payment history, being specific. So they're not as concerned with how Danny borrowed and paid his auto loans in the past or even credit cards. They're mostly concerned with mortgages because the best predictor of how you're going to pay your future mortgage is how you've paid it in the past, right? So that's why mortgages, auto loans, credit cards all have their own scoring models or put together in a product by MyFICO or by the FICO company. Okay, but the funny thing the thing to realize is they're all doing the same thing. They're giving you points for good behavior and taking away points for bad behavior. Okay, but scores may vary, as you can see from this one single borrower here, or this one single consumer. FICO scores in the high 700s, and then go into his mortgage scores, mid 700s, go into, anyways, they're all over the board, as you can see. Okay, so just remember when you're going to get financing at an auto loan, at an auto dealer, you can come to MyFICO and click this button here and it'll take you there. You can go online and see your Vantage scores, which, my opinion, the Vantage scores are a mishmash of all the different FICO scores. Okay, much easier to use. But it's important that all the scores are higher. So back to that question of a consumer or one of my customers asking me, which is the real score? They're all important, but it really comes down to wherever you're going to go that day to get a score. Most of my customers are mostly concerned with the FICO scores. So just remember, for the purpose of getting a mortgage, they're going to use the FICO models 2, 4, and 2. And when you get a mortgage, the way they do it is they throw out the top score, they throw out the bottom score, they don't average them, they just take the middle score, and that would be, in this case, if Danny were to go to get a mortgage today, this would be his mortgage score, 754. And rates are dictated by scores, okay? How much he gets approved for is dictated by income. But I digress, that's mortgage stuff. All right, so this concludes my video. Again, there's the Vantage score, which has one scoring model called Vantage 3.0. You can find that on Credit Karma. You can find that on Identity IQ and a lot of other places. And then the FICO score has 9 different scoring models. You can purchase that at myfico.com, but your bank may pull that when they're pulling credit for you, but it depends on the creditor. Any questions about this video, please let me know. I await your feedback. Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching my dad's credit tip.
Cred tip? Credit tip. Thank you.